Hey you, I'm Sarah Turner. I'm a copywriter and copywriting mentor. And if you've been reading anything I've written or just, following me on YouTube at all, you know that mindset work is very important to me because quite honestly, it is some of the most powerful things I have put into my life. I continue to believe that mindset work is one of the most important things any of us can do for our lives and our businesses. And one of the more powerful things along those lines that I've implemented is a morning routine. And I've definitely talked about that quite a bit. I know my students have to hear about it all the time, but it's because implementing a morning routine did so many wonderful things for my life. It, helped me remember where I'm trying to go. It's like a constant reminder of your goals for yourself. And I don't mean just like business goals, I mean personal goals, how you want to show up in this world. It was also, morning routines are a constant reminder of like how I want to be as a person, how I want to make other people feel, how I want to feel, and then also my affirmations have really helped me tremendously with my anxiety, with depression, and it's just a way to effectively rewire your brain to kind of think how you want to think instead of letting your fear-based brain, which is trying to protect you and be on the lookout for worst case scenarios, it prevents that from running the show all the time because that's really what your brain's meant to do. And so if you don't implement things to kind of counterbalance that, it really can run the show. And I have definitely experienced that. And my morning routine is also something that I turn to in times when I'm kind of not sure what to do or I'm feeling lost. So it really helps to kind of write yourself a note, basically, maybe when you're feeling a little bit better, to yourself on the days where you're not necessarily feeling your best. So I want to talk about mindset more because it's also something that I continue to get feedback on. It's a portion of my course, Write Your Way to Freedom, and it is a portion of the course that I am constantly getting emails about how it has positively impacted people's lives. And so much so that I actually created another course, Master Your Mindset. That's just the mindset work that I have gone through and implemented over the last 5 years with my dear friend Emily, because I just think this is such an important conversation to have. And so with that in mind, because this is something I want to, share more with you and also get your feedback on, I love hearing from you guys. I want to talk about 5 mindset challenges I have overcome, although I do think it's more of a work in progress, and how I did it. And for me, a huge part of that is really my morning routine and these affirmations. So I'm actually going to, I keep waving this around, this is my journal, and I'm going to actually read to you some of the affirmations that I have for myself around things that I, somewhat struggle with, I would say, on a more consistent basis. So my morning routine changes. I rewrite it about every 6 months, but these are some of the mindset challenges that have been a little more consistent in my life, and hopefully you relate to them and they resonate with you. So the first one I want to talk about is taking things personally. That is something that I had to work on, especially as a writer, because when you're a writer, you're constantly getting feedback on your work. And so it can be, difficult to not take them personally at first, but I promise you, learning how to not take things personally and actively reminding yourself that other people's reactions are often a reflection of them and what's going on in their world rather than of you is one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself, because it makes you a less emotionally reactive, and also it just doesn't, it's kind of painful almost to be at the whim of everybody else's emotions. When people are constantly saying things to you, and you're just interacting with humans, bumping into them throughout your day, and if you are constantly taking things personally, like I definitely was at one point in time, it can just be an emotional roller coaster, and you're really at the whim of everybody else's emotions and days and beliefs and thoughts, and it's really no way to live life, in my opinion. So working on not taking things personally has been incredibly powerful. The 4 Agreements is a book that really helped me with that. So if that's something that you are, struggling with, I definitely recommend the 4 Agreements. And then I'm going to read to you a little bit, or my morning routine affirmation around taking things personally, because I believe that this has really helped too. So I say to myself every morning in my affirmations, I don't take things personally because I know most people's reaction is a reflection of their experience. Instead, I have empathy for those who seem to be having a tough time, because that has been my experience. Once I started paying attention to things that triggered me or caused me to take things personally, I started to notice that usually in those instances, people were having reactions that were much more based in what was going on in their world. And once I started opening my eyes to that and being more sensitive and empathetic to that, I really started to notice more and more that these reactions were not all about me. So that is something that you can totally take for your morning routine if it resonates with you. The next one is the fear and the uncertainty of not knowing how to do something and letting that prevent me from taking the next step in the right direction. So what I have come to learn, and truly this is one of my favorite affirmations, because it is a reminder that my situation is almost, actually probably never unique, that someone has already experienced what I'm going through. And so there are always perspectives to look at, new situation, to read about the situation and how they dealt with it and the solutions that they came up with. Those always exist, and we live in a time where we have the internet, so we have access to so many different experiences in this world that we can find people who are going through or have went through something similar. So my morning routine affirmation for that is, my struggles are never unique. Someone has always survived and thrived after the experience I am going through. Solutions are always out there. I am open-minded to receiving them. And the interesting thing about this affirmation is when I first wrote it for myself, and these have changed over the years, but when I wrote my struggles are never unique, it was something that I actually, I guess I had some resistance to it, because we love to think of ourselves as unique. We love to think that our situation is, is unique and no one else has experienced it. And so I had a lot of resistance to that at first, because I was like, what do you mean my struggles are never unique? Nobody understands what it is I'm going through. But it's really not the case. And we do. And so that's why I encourage myself I'm open-minded to receiving them, because we think that we've thought of every solution, but we haven't. We've only thought of everything we've thought of. And luckily, there are an insane amount of situations and opportunities that we can find online to read about and to pull ideas and perspectives from. So this is a huge one for me. And then the next one is rejection, about feeling rejected when it comes to, cold emailing. That's a hard one. Feeling like you're not getting the responses that you want, feeling like, any form of rejection. A lot of it can be in business, it can be personal rejection, thinking that somebody, doesn't want to spend time with you. But for me, what really comes to mind is with business. Anytime I've had situations where I've really, really thought that this was the next step for me, this was the thing, this is it, and then it hasn't worked out and I've felt rejected, that is a really hard thing to deal with. But what I have come to learn, and what my affirmation now says, is that rejection is always redirection. Though I can't fully see why this is good for me now, I've experienced enough of these situations to know I'll look back and think, wow, I am so glad that happened. And I'm sure you can think of situations where this has happened for you, because now I just trust that when something doesn't go like I thought it was supposed to, that there's a reason for it, and that only with time will I be able to look back and fully see, oh my gosh, thank goodness I didn't get that client or that job or that opportunity, because if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have gone this direction and all these beautiful things wouldn't have happened for me. So that's another big one. Another one is jealousy. Jealousy and judgment. I like to pair those two because sometimes they can be intertwined or look a lot like one another. But what I have come to find about jealousy and judgment is really it's a reflection of how I feel about myself and sometimes my desires. So usually when I'm feeling judgy or even jealous, if I dig a little deeper and I get really curious and I say, what is that? I usually can find that there's something that is being either embodied by that person or their behavior that I kind of want for myself, or I'm too afraid to look at. And so I think it's really important to be more curious about those situations, because we tend to think of it just being bad, being judgmental or jealous is like a bad thing, but I actually think it's some of the most profound learning experiences I've had in my life. So for me, I have a morning routine affirmation that says, judgment and jealousy are big clues about myself and what I might want for my life. Instead of letting those situations slip away, I take the time to examine what these situations say about me. So that's a good one. I really like that one because I think, yeah, it's just one of those things. So many negative emotions I've come to find are actually the biggest clues and the biggest indicators of some of our subconscious thoughts. So I've tried to stop judging myself for having them and to start being really curious and open-minded to explore them and examine them. So the last one is feeling limited by my past. This is really used to hold me back. I used to have all these things that had happened to me in my past that I thought were limitations. And they were things that were preventing me from being successful and happy and, having the things I wanted in life. And I really used to kind of run away and always be on the move and moving from place to place. I think mostly because, or in large part, because I felt very limited by my past. And so that this has been an important thing for me to kind of reflect on and have affirmations around. So my affirmation is, there are too many people who have triumphed over impossible odds for me to be limited by my past. Instead, I embraced the dynamic human that I am, allowing the potential for me to grow exponentially. So what I came to realize was that me being limited by my past was really me being limited by my beliefs and my beliefs around my past and what they said about me. Because what I've come to find is that we can behave in ways today that heal wounds of the past. And so if you have anything like that in your past, I really want you to encourage you to let go of maybe any victim mentality that I know I definitely struggled with, and think about reimagining your future and what you can do today to embody that person, because I think we have let our past, have more of a say in our day-to-day lives than it really deserves. So I have really grown so much from this mindset work, and I've seen my students grow from this mindset work. And so I would like to just keep talking about it more and sharing it with you guys more. And I would love to hear your feedback, because I know this is very much not about copywriting, but yeah, I think it's super important, and it bleeds over into our business and how we show up as writers. And I hope that it helps you and that it resonated with you. There are so many more elements to mindset work than what I just went through. That was just a little taste. So I hope that helps. Hit that thumbs up button if you like that. Don't forget to subscribe, and please, please, please leave comments, because I love reading them. I love getting glimpses into your brains. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much, guys.